I am EllaAradia and welcome to your Psychic Tarot Love Reading. This reading is for my Taurus, Virgo and Capricorn Earth signs. The timestamps are below, where we'll be taking a deeper dive into your person's hidden feelings for you. This is a love reading and it's for those of you who are already connected with someone, even if you are currently in no contact with your person. This will be a very specific message, so it may not resonate for all of you. If it feels right, then it's meant for you. Otherwise, you may want to check out the readings for your other placements. So Sun, Moon, Rising or Venus. And before we jump in, a big thank you to all of you who are supporting my channel by liking and subscribing. So if you enjoyed this reading and you haven't already done that, please do. It helps the channel out a lot. It doesn't cost anything to subscribe, and then you can get notified when the next videos are up. So Taurus, let's jump in. I always like to tune into the energies first before I start pulling any cards. I'm a psychic reader, so I always like to see what the universe shows me. I'm seeing someone testing your boundaries. And it does feel to me like a little bit of a repeat pattern here, where there is something happening in your energy, Taurus, where you're putting these boundaries in place, but then you are allowing them to kind of collapse. With your overall energies, we have the Ace of Wands, your person's view of you, the Page of Swords. That's where this boundary testing is going on. I feel like this person is just kind of showing up somehow in a certain way, certain behaviors where you're putting these boundaries in place, or they're kind of testing things out to kind of see, you know, how far can they go? How much can they get away with? What are you going to kind of say no to? And what are you going to accept? Feels like they've got some kind of like inner child thing at play here, because that's the energy I'm feeling from this person. And this is what I feel when this is their view of you. The Page of Swords is somebody who is, you know, gathering information. It often represents looking at, you know, someone's socials, you know, trying to find out about them, looking at pictures, you know, gathering information, their feelings towards you, the Four of Swords, their intentions, the Devil. Okay, your feelings towards your person, the Empress. You're seeing some kind of possibility here, some kind of potential for perhaps a new beginning. This might be an ex returning, because this feels a little bit like a rebirth for some of you anyway, not for all of you. This may just be someone that, you know, you've recently met. It feels quite new to me. I don't get the sense of kind of a long-standing kind of history here. But I'm really not sure, you know, with this Devil here as their intentions towards you. This is this boundary testing that I'm feeling. And I feel like there's some toxic behaviors going on here. You know, this is someone who, you know, is a little bit held back at the moment. The Four of Swords is often what I view as the no contact card. Let's just look at the challenge. In the challenge, we have the King of Wands. So we've got the Ace of Wands, the King of Wands is the challenge. This is the person that you're dealing with. And of course, you know, the gender can be male or female here. So there's a lot of fire energy here. There's a lot of passion. There's a lot of physical attraction, chemistry. But there's a lot of things this person is doing which I feel is leaving you feeling let down, disappointed and disrespected. It's the energy of, how can I put it? It's like making plans letting you down at the last minute, that type of thing. You know, showing up always when you're in the middle of something, even though, you know, particularly for some of you, it might be when you're working from home, and, you know, this person is continuously like showing up when you're working, or you're trying to, you know, work on something. It could be, you know, a project that you're working on. And this is this energy of, you know, kind of a one-sided energy here. And it feels like you keep on, you know, saying, you know, what you don't like, you know, and why. And it just feels like it's not being heard, you know, or they're not wanting to hear it. And because I feel like this is someone who is, you know, quite self-focused. And this is the energy of someone here who I feel is more in it for what they're getting out of it, rather than, you know, respecting what your needs are. But at the same time, you know, there's this intense, I feel, physical connection between the two of you. And I feel like this is someone very charismatic as well. Whoever this devil represents, you know, nice looking person, you know, if that's a male, if it's female, someone very charismatic, magnetic, beautiful, does all the right things, says all the right things, kind of looks the part, you know, this really strong physical attraction here. But I feel when it comes to things on a deeper level here, this is where this is starting to kind of run into problems. Because I'm getting the sense from many of you, you know, wanting to do certain things together, making suggestions, and if it suits them, they're doing it, but a lot of the time they're not. And it seems to me like you're dealing with someone where, you know, it's kind of all about them and not so much about you and your needs in this. And somewhere in this devil card is, I feel an unhealed inner child in the person that you're dealing with. And, you know, I feel like this is someone who has felt perhaps unloved, or they have you know, a little bit of confusion around what love really is. You know, love may equal control, or love may equal attention. And so there is this boundary testing to see how far, you know, they can go, how far they can push you in some way. That's what I keep feeling here. Which, of course, you know, they're seeing, you know, how far they can go with what you will tolerate in terms of what you are perhaps settling for less for here. And because of this really intense physical attraction, because I do feel like this is someone you have a lot of fun with as well, it feels like you keep collapsing your boundaries, the things that you keep saying no to. You're letting things slide, and you're letting those boundaries collapse. So you're sending, I feel, mixed messages to this person. And on your side, this is all happening because you're seeing a potential. You're seeing, you know, what this could be. So you're a little bit more attached to the potential rather than perhaps the reality of what is going on here. In the hidden influence here, we have the 7 of Wands. This is someone who is very guarded. This is the person that you're dealing with here. So you are dealing with someone, although you're having a lot of fun together, you know, you somehow have your own kind of special connection. It's this kind of energies of, I feel, when it's on their terms, you know, when you're doing what they want to do on their time, you know, you're having a great time together. And it is these moments of, you know, it feeling amazing between the two of you. But somehow it feels one-sided, where slowly but surely you're feeling more and more unseen, but there's a little part of you which I feel goes back to your childhood, which is hanging in there in the hopes of love. So you may have had a parent that didn't show love in the way that you needed, or was at a distance. And so that's your definition of love. And we tend to recreate, you know, what feels familiar to us. So whatever this is, it's what we would call a trauma bond. And there's some powerful soul lessons here around choosing yourself, Taurus, because you're dealing with somebody who, although, like I said, there's a lot of fun, there's a lot of good things about this, I'm not sure this is someone that can ultimately give you that emotional depth and support and love in the way that you need to. And I feel like very much they're part of a lesson for you. And the only way to shift this is to really recognize that and learn those lessons and face the fear. So the fear is loss and losing love. That's the fear I feel that many of you are, you know, avoiding facing. But ultimately, at some point, it will come to that moment. With your advice from the universe, we have the 10 of Cups. And, you know, this is a card of commitment. It's an energy of these kind of happily ever after energies. Wishes granted, dreams come true. But if, you know, if you really had this 10 of Cups, we wouldn't have the devil there. So to me, I feel like this is a cautionary energy to make sure, you know, you're seeing the whole picture here. You're dealing with the reality of what is, rather than the stronger energy being, you know, focused on the dream of what it could be. So you're being asked to, first of all, stay true to you and what you really want. But it's not in the dream. It's something which, in this case, you know, it's not about waiting and, you know, waiting on this 10 of Cups to come in for you. That's that inner child. It's about being in the reality of what is really going on. And in doing that, you are honoring, you know, what you truly want with this 10 of Cups. But I've got a funny feeling it may not be this person. And, you know, to me, it really does feel this is more about soul lessons and healing. However, sometimes, you know, when we make a shift in our energy, when we learn those lessons and embody them, it does create an invitation for change. And it does create an invitation, you know, where you have stepped up for your person to step up. But I feel like you're dealing with someone, you know, this devil and this 7 of Wands, where you've got a whole wall of barriers, wounds, hurts, you know, unresolved issues to really get through with this person. And, you know, that could be, you know, quite a challenge for you. In your outcome, we have the High Priestess. This is usually an energy of following your intuition, you know, staying connected to your intuition at this time. This is the energy of she who knows. And it may be a moment for some of you to really tap into that right now and really tap into your inner knowing, your inner wisdom. You know, High Priestess is a powerful energy, and so are you. So, you know, it's about perhaps, yeah, really connecting to what that inner wisdom is truly and honestly telling you in this moment, and making, you know, any choices or decisions really based on that. So let's get your person's hidden message for you. So the hidden message is more for those of you who are in some kind of no contact situation, because some of you are. We had the 4 of Swords there. Okay, Taurus. I bury myself in work to forget you. We need to let each other go. I will wait for a sign from you. I wish I could take back my word. So some of you, there's been conflict and you are in no contact right now. I know that I crossed the line with you. So Taurus, I'm going to leave that there. So we are going to move on to Capricorn, sorry, Virgo. Virgo, let's see what we have for you. Just let me do a couple more shuffles. Virgo. Feeling some commitment issues already, Virgo, here. Some mixed signals. Waiting for things to move to the next level. So Virgo, let's jump in. I'm just going to tune in a little bit more before I start pulling any cards. I feel like you've been waiting for, you know, some kind of breakthrough in this connection. And it does feel connected around something moving to the next level here. I feel like this is someone you've been connecting with for a while. And for many of you, it might be the next level, maybe actually putting kind of a label on things in terms of, you know, this is now we're in a relationship. Some of you, it might be moving in, or it could be a marriage proposal, something like that. But it feels like you've been kind of hanging in there for quite some time now, you know, waiting for, you know, things to move forwards, to really deepen that connection. And when I feel into it, I feel someone there who is catching feelings for you, and they have been for some time, but they're very guarded. So with your overall energies, we have the Four of Cups, which does represent, you know, an offer of love. That's what that cup represents. And this can be the person that you're dealing with who is a little bit kind of closed off. It's like they know what you're offering, they know what you want, but they're a little bit closed off. It can also be a card that represents, you know, a feeling of, you know, stagnancy emotionally, which it does feel to me like that is something that is beginning to happen on your side, Virgo, because this has been going on for a while, I feel, and something really does need to, you know, shift in some way. There needs to be some kind of opening up from the person that you're dealing with. I see the word betrayal. You may be dealing with someone who has had, you know, betrayal in their past where their heart, you know, got really wounded and hurt. I'm seeing like energetic damage on their heart chakra, their heart. And it's scary for them to open up their heart to love again, even though that is absolutely what is on the table. That's what you're offering. And that's what's scary about it. And at the same time, you know, they're really trying to sort of protect themselves, keep this guard up. But at the same time, I feel like there are feelings there. Their view of you, the lovers, a choice to be made. That's where they're at right now. Because I do feel like they know that, you know, you are not going to hang around in this for much longer. I feel like you're getting to the end of the line here, Virgo, where something does need to shift, or you're just going to kind of move on. The lovers is, you know, a choice to be made, and sometimes it's a choice between two people. Either way, it's usually a choice which affects a relationship. So they know that they are at some kind of moment of, let's just call it a fork in the road. You know, it's a moment of a crossroads where they know they need to step up. Otherwise, you know, they do stand to lose you here. Their feelings towards you, the Six of Pentacles. I never like to see that card because sometimes it represents third-party energies. And I don't feel like that resonates for all of you. I feel for the majority of you, this is more representing, you know, things being a bit one-sided. Because clearly you're putting in, you know, more than you're getting back. And you're dealing with someone who is very held back. It can be a desire, you know, to balance that and reciprocate. You know, this is the energies of, you know, give and take. And it's often these dynamics where you've got one person, you know, investing and giving more than the other. That's the stronger energy I feel off that card, but I do feel like there's a small percent of you that there may be some kind of third-party influence here, because the figure on the card is giving to two people, and that's their feelings towards you. And sometimes that third-party energy, it could be a friend, a family member, it can even be career. It doesn't always have to, you know, immediately represent cheating. Their intentions towards you, the Two of Wands, so they are at a crossroads. This is make or break. This is absolutely a make or break point in this connection. And they know it. And they know they're needing to make some kind of choice here. So when you look at the figure on the card here, they have one foot in the past, which somehow keeps them safe. And the other foot is pointing to new possibilities and potentials, and that potential love, which I feel is what you are offering here. And for them, you know, keeping one foot in the past, tied to whatever heartbreak that was, I feel has become something which is protecting them now. It's something they've carried with them to protect their heart. But there's come a point where, you know, that's not really working anymore, and that's not really making sense anymore. That's what happens. You know, things that serve us at a certain moment, you know, as we go through life and, you know, things unfold, life unfolds, those things don't serve us anymore. And so there is an invitation here for, you know, this person to, you know, really heal and resolve any last bits of that past hurt and move out of their comfort zone to reciprocate, you know, what it is that you're offering here, which is a healthy love. It's a chance for love again, you know, but there's a little bit of a block around trust here is what I'm feeling. Your feelings towards your person, the Fool. So a new beginning, there's a new offer, an offer of love with that Four of Cups there. You're wanting a new beginning, you're offering that love. You may have told them, you know, very clearly, you know, what you want, how you're feeling. I feel like you've done it in a really nice way where you have validated, you know, where they're at, but at the same time, you know, things do need to shift to a new level. And you're wanting that with this person. You know, they do have that potential. And it is something that, you know, is more based in the reality. You know, it's not just a dream that you've kind of attached to. I feel like this is absolutely something that this person can give you if they can just get past, you know, their own guards, their own barriers. In the challenge, the Queen of Cups, opening up emotionally. You know, this is someone who, you know, is deeply connected to their emotions, but there is a lid on that cup. And that's the challenge here, opening up emotionally, opening up the heart. And this is the person that you're dealing with. This is their block, their challenge to get through. You know, it is about having discernment. It's not about, you know, we're completely open, we're completely open-hearted with everybody, everything. You know, it is to have discernment. But this is in the challenge. And so just even kind of opening up and having a conversation which involves feelings, I think is something that is quite challenging for this person. And that's the block that they need to get through. The hidden influence is death. And to me, this just feels like, you know, there is a huge opportunity here for something really beautiful. And the invitation for the person that you're dealing with is letting go of all of that, recognizing that what once protected them is actually now holding them back from experiencing love and more in life. And there is an invitation for them to let go of, you know, this old version, this old guarded version of themselves, and really take, you know, a bit of a leap of faith in love. Opening up a little bit, trusting again. And I think they know that they can trust you. In your advice is the Nine of Wands. This is a card of healing. Represents, you know, someone who's been through a lot, but they're still standing. And it's usually an energy of investing a lot. Sometimes can, you know, represent history with someone, because I do feel like this is something that's been going on for a while. And it has come to a point of exhaustion. But you're still there, you know, and there is an invitation for things to change here. But it's going to involve healing, you know. So in terms of this being your person, you know, this is something that, you know, it is a moment for them to really look at some things inside of themselves. Because what's unhealed is actually blocking them, you know, from having love again, having more in life. In your outcome, we have the King of Cups. So I love that, because I do feel that there is a really high chance that they can, you know, get through these emotional blocks and challenges. And part of that is, I feel you've created, you know, a very nice, safe space for them. You've created like a place of trust where, you know, they know that if they do open up, you're going to be there for them. So Virgo, let's get your person's hidden message. So the hidden message is more for those of you who are in some kind of no contact situation here. So Virgo, you are the best thing in my life. So if you are in no contact, I do feel like this person is really starting to understand the connection more deeply. I feel you even though we're apart. I wish I could share my good news with you. I know I was a distraction from your pain. I look for you everywhere. So Virgo, I'm going to leave that there. We are going to move on to Capricorn. Hi, Capricorn. So let me just do a couple more shuffles here. Okay, Capricorn, let's jump in. I always like to tune in first, Capricorn, before I start pulling any cards. I'm a psychic reader, so I always like to see what the universe shows me. Seeing some heartbreak here, disappointment, and something which isn't going the way that you want it to. It's I feel like you're dealing with someone that there is an energy that I'm feeling of, you know, somebody with a sense of my hands are tied. There's some kind of block which is preventing them from fully being with you, is what I'm sensing here. And I'm not sure if there's a third party energy or if this block is actually just some kind of, you know, challenge around, you know, that third party energy being career or something like that. And someone that's kind of trying to, you know, get to a certain point in life before they commit. or it's somebody that's trying to, hold on to a sense of independence, a little bit of fear of commitment, of losing that independence. But I get the energy of many of you kind of waiting for, something more from this person. With your overall energies, we have the Ten of Pentacles, a card of commitment, of working together, building something which, you have a view to the long term. Often represents, in a career reading, working towards financial things, career goals, life goals, and creating a life of stability, security. It's often a card of legacy. Your person's view of you, the Page of Cups. Their feelings towards you, the King of Wands. Their intentions, the Two of Swords. So there's some kind of choice that they know they're needing to make, but they're avoiding it. I almost feel like there may have been some conflict where, you may have called them out on, what you're really wanting and needing from them. And there may have been some conflict. And, often the Page of Cups represents sometimes an apology coming in. That's what I'm feeling from this card anyway. This is water energy, it's emotion. And it's all about keeping an open heart. And with their feelings towards you, the King of Wands, so there's a lot of attraction there. And the King of Wands is somebody that, does go after what they want. This is someone who, doesn't wait for permission. They go after what they want. It's fire energy, it's passion. But somehow we've got this Two of Swords there, which is an energy of feeling stuck. And it often represents holding, two different thoughts or two different beliefs, opposing beliefs, to avoid discomfort. So there's something that they are avoiding facing here, and a choice that needs to be made that they are just not making right now. Or they're feeling unable to make a choice. Your feelings towards this person, the Queen of Pentacles. I feel like you really love this person, and, the Queen of Pentacles, the energy I get off that is you're just wanting to, really nurture them and be there for them. I get a very, very, warm, loving energy off that card, in relation to this person. And you're absolutely there for them. I feel like this is the energy of, being there, supporting, loyalty, really pouring into them and supporting them in that way. There's a lot of love here for this person. What lies in the challenge here is the Seven of Pentacles. The hidden influence, the Five of Pentacles. This is often a card of abandonment and represents, somebody leaving your life, or you leaving someone's life, abandoning things, moving on, feeling, shut out or on the outside of something. And I do feel like you are dealing with someone where I am feeling a third party energy somehow. And the challenge I feel is on both sides here. Because I feel like the person that you're dealing with, you know, there is a challenge around reevaluating things, really looking clearly, you know, at what they have. And, you know, it's a card of making adjustments, looking at what they have and looking at, you know, what do they want to put their energies into moving forwards? You know, what is truly going to make them happy? And so there's some kind of challenge here on their side with this. And on your side, I feel like it's a challenge around reevaluating, still kind of being there and holding on. And maybe even a fear to move on, a fear to, you know, to let go of that Ten of Pentacles, that potential commitment, the, you know, the dream, the, you know, what you thought it was going to be, who you thought they were going to be in your life. And that's your challenge in this. You know, really having a deeper look on your side around, you know, who or what you want to put your energies into moving forwards. Because, you know, whatever you choose to do, you know, love, you know, it is something that should be reciprocal. And, you know, the energy that you have with this Queen of Pentacles to pour into them and invest is absolutely something that you deserve to have, you know, reciprocated here. I feel a lot of stuck energy, and some of you may even be dealing with someone who is maybe even married, in another connection. They might be separated, going through a divorce, or there's something about career where they're feeling like, you know, their hands are tied. They just, for some reason, you know, feel that they can't move things to the next level here. And there is a choice to be made here. But I feel like they're feeling, you know, really, really stuck. I feel like this is someone who's trying to work things out in their head, when the invitation here is about actually listening to the heart. You know, the heart is wanting to be heard in this. And it feels a little bit to me, that is what they are avoiding, because I do feel like this is someone who has deep feelings for you. They may have, you know, walked away already with this Five of Pentacles for whatever reason. It's something to do with this third party energy. They may have felt like they had to abandon the connection with you. And they may have, you know, already kind of walked on and taken a different path here, but yet there's still these feelings here for you. And I do feel like they know that they're, you know, letting you down, that there's hurt, there's disappointment for you. But there's something I feel that's feeling really stuck for them. And I see the word consequences. I get the sense of, you know, the reason why they are avoiding listening to what their heart is really saying, what the heart truly wants, because I feel if they were really honest, it would be to be with you, because it's what feels real. It's what lifts their spirit. It's something that just feels right, that they know will, you know, bring them happiness. But there's some kind of third party energy here where I feel like if they choose to make a move, there's going to be consequences. And that's what I feel they are afraid of. And that's why there is a block here. You know, it all feels really, really blocked. But, you know, change is the only constant. So at some point things will shift one way or another. With your advice, we have the Ace of Pentacles. This is the universe bringing in, I feel, a little bit of a redirection for you. a new path to walk if you choose to take it, a new beginning. And it might not be one that you're quite ready to take because there's a fear of losing this person. But what I will say is you don't really have them anyway. And this may be a moment, especially with it being, you know, we have the Queen of Pentacles for you, the Ace of Pentacles. This might be about just taking a step back right now and really focusing on yourself and your life, doing things that you love, you know, maybe focusing on your own career, creating, you know, taking steps forwards and really working on creating the life that you really want. And doing that doesn't have to mean necessarily that you have lost this person or you've lost the connection to this person. Because like I said, you know, unless something changes, you don't really have them anyway. And so I feel like this is an advice of just take a step back, take a little bit of a pause. And taking a step back, it doesn't necessarily mean ignoring somebody if they're reaching out or anything like that. What I mean from this really is just bring your energy a little bit back to yourself and bring that focus back to you and your life and what you are doing each day and what your next steps forward are going to be. And just pour a little bit of this energy here with the Queen of Pentacles into yourself, because that is the lesson. That's part of the lesson anyway. It's about you investing in you, looking after your needs and feelings here. And that's the thing, when you pour that back into yourself, then what people mirror to you is that, rather than, you know, what you don't want. And so this is the thing, you know, they're mirroring to you right now the relationship that you're having with yourself. You know, they're not stepping up, they're not giving that commitment, they're not making that move for whatever reason. You know, it's mirroring where you are not giving to yourself in that way. And so that would be my advice in this situation. It feels like it needs a bit more time to me. It feels like there's more to the story, but it's going to take time. And for now, I feel like it's about just focusing on yourself moving forwards. In the outcome, we have the Knight of Pentacles, which really is, I feel, again, another advice around, you know, don't try and work all of this out right now. This is a card of, you know, just taking one step at a time, but making, you know, some kind of movement. And I feel that should come from an energy of you, you know, investing in you and your life, but just, you know, one day at a time, one step at a time. So Capricorn, let's get your person's hidden message for you. There might be distance between you and this person. I was just seeing a body of water there. Capricorn. We have that on that Two of Swords as well, the water behind the figure on the card there. So some of you may actually be at a distance here. So Capricorn, my life is not as together as it seems. I bury myself in work to forget you. I absolutely feel that from this person. It's time for me to heal now. I can't stop thinking about you. I love you unconditionally. So Capricorn, I'm going to leave that there. If this reading resonated, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. And as always, no matter what comes through in a reading, moving forwards, always trust what feels right for you. So thanks so much for being here, and I wish you a great month ahead.